Hey NFL fans, before we dive into today's hottest stories, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss an update. From NFL News Now. Without a contract and carrying nothing but a swirl of speculation behind him, ASJR stepped onto Broad Street and instantly triggered the kind of buzz that ripples through an entire city when a player with real swagger arrives out of nowhere. You could almost feel the shift in the air as fans started piecing together the possibilities, connecting dots that maybe weren't even supposed to be connected yet. But that's how rumors are born here, loud, impatient, and completely unstoppable. As he moved through the crowd, heads turned not because of any official announcement, but because everyone sensed that something was off in the best possible way. A free agent doesn't just show up in the heart of Philadelphia without reason. And the looks exchanged between bystanders were practically screaming that the Eagles might be up to something sneaky. It was the kind of moment that makes this city forget the cold, forget the humidity, forget everything except the possibility of a new star preparing to put on midnight green. And when a player like ASJR shows up without warning, you just know that the secondary board is about to get flipped upside down in ways nobody saw coming. People close to the team swear they didn't leak anything, but the whispering grew so fast that it didn't matter. The idea of ASJR stepping into a secondary that has been craving both attitude and reliability became the kind of topic that spreads through barbershops, corner stores, tailgate threads, and fan group chats like wildfire. 1 second, Broad Street was just Broad Street, and the next, it felt like the stage for a full-blown football saga unfolding in real time. Observers couldn't stop noticing how calm ASJR appeared, like someone who knew exactly what he was doing and exactly what kind of impact he was about to make. It had the same energy as those mysterious celebrity sightings before a major movie reveal, the kind where nobody wants to jump to conclusions, but everybody secretly already has. And in a city where football emotions run hotter than the summer pavement, the idea of ASJR walking straight into the heart of it felt like the beginning of a story fans would talk about for years. Whether or not he had signed anything yet, the reactions from the fans watching this unfold were priceless. Some pulled out their phones to capture the moment, as if recording ASJR stepping out of a car could somehow preserve proof that destiny was unfolding right before their eyes. Others tried to play it cool, squinting like detectives trying to piece together a puzzle they didn't have all the pieces for but were absolutely determined to solve. And what made it all even wilder was that ASJR didn't avoid the attention. He walked with the posture of someone who belonged there, someone who could look left, look right, and already visualize the defensive schemes he might soon be part of, even without a formal handshake or signature. His presence alone felt like it had weight, a sort of gravitational pull that made everyone around believe the Eagles' secondary was about to get reshaped. This wasn't just a random athlete wandering through Philadelphia. This was a potential solution, a spark, a jolt of electricity that had been missing for far too long. The closer you got to the scene, the louder the speculation became. Fans were tossing out theories faster than any reporter could keep up with, weaving entire narratives ranging from secret meetings to last-minute decisions to late-night phone calls that allegedly sealed the deal. Nobody knew what was true, but in Philadelphia, the truth and the rumor sometimes dance so closely together that it barely matters. And ASJR didn't help the situation. He didn't confirm anything, but he didn't deny anything either. That tiny bit of silence, that subtle smirk he flashed at one point, had people absolutely losing their minds. If body language could sign a contract, ASJR would have been an Eagles green by the time he took his next step. And whether intentional or not, the mystery only added to the hype, creating a moment that felt bigger than football, bigger than logic, and completely fueled by the raw emotion of a fan base that lives for this kind of drama. What really stirred the pot was the way he interacted with the environment. ASJR wasn't moving like a visitor passing through. He moved like someone taking mental notes, someone absorbing the atmosphere of a place he was preparing to call home. He looked around with the kind of focus that players usually have only when they're analyzing film or studying an opponent. His eyes traveled from the skyline to the faces around him, and you could almost imagine him picturing the roar of Lincoln Financial Field on a game night, imagining the way this city rallies around its athletes when they give everything they have. Every step he took seemed to carry meaning, like a message saying he wasn't just here to chat, he was here to evaluate, to connect, to picture himself within a system that, rumor has it, has been eyeing him for longer than anyone publicly admits. And once fans started noticing that deliberate energy, the rumor turned into something close to certainty by the time ASJR disappeared into one of those discreet buildings where important conversations usually happen. The entire street had transformed into a living echo chamber of excitement and disbelief. People were already discussing what his arrival could mean for matchups, rotations, and the overall chemistry of the secondary. It was like watching a city manifest a signing through sheer willpower, and the best part was that every whisper, every assumption, every wild leap of imagination seemed to move in the same direction, that ASJR wasn't just visiting. He was on the verge of closing something big. Something that could redefine the Eagles' defensive identity and bring a totally new layer of confidence to a unit that desperately needed someone who could shift the momentum. By the time the chatter settled, you couldn't even tell who started the rumor anymore because at that point, the entire city believed it. ASJR's impact was already being felt even before any official confirmation came out. You could feel the tremors running through defensive analysts who suddenly found themselves rewriting depth chart predictions in their heads, imagining how much more flexible the secondary could become with his versatility. And fans were sprinting through social media with theories, breakdowns, and hype clips as if the signing were already sealed. This city doesn't wait for press conferences. It reads the vibe, the energy, the tiny details that most people would ignore. And ASJR, arriving on Broad Street with nothing but a duffel bag and a look of quiet confidence, was one of those details. The rumor had become so loud that it practically burned through the walls separating imagination from reality. And the crazy part, every moment that passed made it feel even more likely that this was more than smoke. It felt like a spark catching flame inside the buildings where conversations flow quietly. People swear they saw staff members exchanging looks, the kind that carry messages no one is allowed to say out loud. Nothing was confirmed, but the atmosphere was charged with that unspoken acknowledgement that something real might be happening. ASJR's reputation as a player who brings both fire and intelligence to the field makes him exactly the type of piece that a franchise adds when it wants to shift its identity from reactive to aggressive. And if the Eagles were indeed preparing to make that move, his surprise appearance was the perfect beginning. That silent choreography of glances, gestures, and unsaid words only fueled the rumor even further. ASJR didn't walk in like he was testing the waters. He walked in like someone getting ready to be handed a playbook. And in Philadelphia, that kind of confidence is all the confirmation fans need to start celebrating before anything becomes official. Outside, the energy kept building. Fans waiting around didn't disperse. They clustered in small groups, each one buzzing with its own version of the rumor. Some swore they heard a phone alert inside the building. That sounded like the team notification tone. Others claimed they spotted someone carrying a folder in Eagles colors. None of it could be proven, but that never stops this city from believing what it wants to believe. The idea of ASJR stepping into a defensive unit that has been searching for a new anchor was simply too exciting. People imagined him locking down receivers, tightening coverage, elevating the entire backfield with a tone of authority. It didn't matter that nothing had been officially announced yet. The vibe alone made fans feel like they were witnessing the start of a new era. Every passing minute only amplified that sense of imminent transformation, even without direct confirmation. The rumor took on a heartbeat of its own. Analysts from afar began chiming in with cryptic messages that only made the whispers stronger, throwing gasoline onto an already blazing fire. And with every moment ASJR remained in the city, the belief became harder to ignore. The secondary had been craving a disruptive force, someone capable of elevating the group with experience, athleticism, and leadership that doesn't need to be loud to be effective. His presence in Philadelphia, even without a contract in hand, was enough to make it feel like destiny was nudging him toward midnight green. And with so many eyes watching every small gesture, every subtle detail, the rumor transformed into something almost tangible, like you could reach out and grab it. By the time ASJR re-emerged and headed back toward the street, the crowd swelled again. The way a city reacts when it senses something big has just taken place behind closed doors. He didn't stop to give an answer, didn't wave away the speculation, didn't even hint at a different direction. Instead, he simply navigated through the noise with that same composed, razor-focused calm that suggested he had clarity the rest of the world was still waiting on. It didn't take long before fans started saying he looked lighter, more relaxed, as if he'd just sealed something meaningful. And whether that was pure imagination or a hidden truth, the impact was the same. The rumor exploded into something unstoppable. By then, the narrative had become undeniable. ASJR wasn't just in Philadelphia, he was on his way to becoming an Eagle. Keep watching as we analyze more details about some rumors, and as the sun dipped behind the skyline, the rumor reached its final form, unavoidable, undeniable, and practically echoing through every corner of the city. ASJR had walked into Philadelphia as a free agent with no contract, but he walked out looking like a man who already knew his next chapter. The secondary that had been seeking a new identity suddenly felt on the verge of transformation. Fans could practically imagine him suiting up, stepping onto the field, delivering exactly the impact they'd been dreaming about, whether official or not, whether confirmed or not. One thing felt absolutely certain to everyone watching: ASJR didn't just appear on Broad Street by coincidence. He came to lock something in. He came to change the secondary. He came to close with the Eagles. As the crowd slowly thinned out and the city settled into that restless calm that always follows a major rumor storm, the conversation didn't fade, it evolved. People began discussing not just the possibility of ASJR joining the Eagles, but what his arrival would symbolize in the bigger picture. This team has been desperate for a spark, for a player whose presence alone sends a message to the league that the defensive identity is shifting back toward dominance. ASJR embodies exactly that kind of shift. His instincts, his confidence, his ability to read and react with precision, all of it makes him the type of piece that turns a secondary from ordinary into feared. And fans could already see the ripple effect: veteran players stepping up even more, younger guys learning under a true technician, the entire defense tightening as one, even without signing anything publicly. His impact had already extended far beyond Broad Street. It felt like the entire city had been waiting for someone with his kind of gravity to walk through the door, and now that he had, people couldn't stop imagining how quickly he could elevate the standard. The rumor wasn't just alive, it was breathing new life into Philadelphia's hopes. Inside radio studios, podcast mix, basement setups, and YouTube channels across the city, creators were already preparing thumbnails, titles, and breakdowns. Because the rumor had grown too massive to ignore, they were replaying the footage of ASJR stepping out of that car frame by frame, analyzing his posture like it was film study, and offering theories that blended logic with pure emotion. Some pointed out how comfortable he looked in the city's energy, while others noted how his quiet demeanor matched the vibe of someone who had just received assurance, verbal or otherwise, that things were heading in a certain direction. And the more people talked, the stronger the belief became that the Eagles weren't just interested, they were close. Really close. Even rival fans watching from afar could feel the momentum shifting. ASJR, arriving as a free agent, had started as a whisper, grew into a rumor, escalated into a frenzy, and by now had transformed into something that felt inevitable. Philadelphia had claimed him in spirit. Now the city was just waiting for the paperwork to catch up. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like this video and share it with your fellow NFL fans. Stay tuned for more updates. Only here on NFL News Now.